Meeting of the Griggs County Commissioners order. Stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call. John.
Here.
Dale.
Here.
Mark is absent. Troy is absent. Sean here.
Where's Mark?
I'm not sure. He told Maddie that he wasn't going to be here.
So we could have ended this quickly. All right, want to take a look at the agenda, see if there's any additions or deletions.
The only thing that changed from what I sent you last night is the NDSU extension
Okay.
got added. One for me, one for Maddie.
That's right. Keeps me from ending up in the same position as Trump.
Get impeached.
Acquitted. Both, I guess.
So I'll move to approve the agenda as presented.
Motion by Dale to approve the agenda as presented. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by John. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Let's see, then we got the January 17th minutes.
So the ones you highlighted are the budgets?
We're on the minutes.
Oh, I'm not. I noticed Sean wasn't either.
That was quite a ways ahead of that even.
Let's get out the minutes then.
I'm still waiting for minutes.
I'll move we accept the minutes as presented.
John's made a motion to accept the January 17th minutes as presented. Is there a second?
And dispense with the reading.
Dale second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Bills.
Okay, now what was your question?
Okay, so I don't have to go look, are all 4 of these dues included in a budget somewhere?
Yes.
They were.
Yeah.
Oh, a line item in the budget, huh?
I think that's what I thought we put it all in the general.
Nope, they are all within their own budgets. Yeah.
Well, that's disturbing.
Why?
But that got by somehow. Thought we had a strict rule against associations.
You guys usually do not pay this weed association.
Right?
You guys usually don't do those, but the other ones, like the Auditors Association, that's my North Dakota Association of Counties. So then you guys have that within my budget.
Mm-hmm.
And then the sheriff's one, that's theirs. And then the 911 Association.
And those were line item budgeted items?
Hmm.
The weed? What we budgeted?
Not the weed.
Oh, okay.
Not the weed, no. You guys usually don't pay that. So you guys don't budget for that one.
I make a motion to carry on the tradition of not paying that one. But I'll have to be in the final. It'll be after, I'll make that motion when we go to approve this.
Okay. We do have 3 that need to be added, if we can, please. 2 for Town and Country Co-op. One is for $5,073.23.
What's that for?
Um,
5,000 what?
$5,073.23.
A lot of fuel. If that's what it is.
So there's only 2. There's that one and then the John Deere Financial for $2.82.
$2.82?
Yes,
John Deere.
financial.
What is, that's road obviously, right?
Yep.
What's the other one?
Town and Country Co-op, that's for,
What budget?
Wayne's.
This one's got all the tickets.
That's road 2?
Yep.
This budget makes me mad.
Which one?
The numbers don't match the numbers in the budget.
And I can't switch it because I don't have the way that Ron formatted it. I can't fit it into it.
Hi, Gary.
Howdy.
911 doesn't?
Not that I see. It's wishful thinking. Though.
Send DACO.
$6,250, I know that. Going once, going twice.
Wayne, in
No.
your 911 budget, is there a line item for that dues? No.
Most of the checks written are just dispensing the money from the taxes.
Right. That's the, sure your pages are. Yeah, the townships and,
Yep.
yeah.
Schools.
All the
Yep.
entities.
Yep.
So what are the three, let me see the three bills.
They're added? It's just the two.
So I'll make a motion, we accept the bills as presented with the addition of John Deere Financial in the amount of $2.82 and Town and Country Co-op in the addition of $5,073.23 and with deleting North Dakota Weed Control Association in the amount of $275 and deleting the North Dakota 911 Association for $25. Neither one of those had a budget amount.
Okay, the 25 on the clock.
Is that something that you get from?
Oh, from that association.
Motion by John to accept the bills as presented with the addition of Town and Country for $5,073.23, John Deere Financial for $2.82, the deletion, North Dakota Weed Control Association for $2.75, and North Dakota 911 Association for $25. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second.
Second by Dale. Is there any discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
Sean votes aye. Motion passes. Monthly office reports. Page 16, is that just part of the bills?
Yep, that's your
Yeah.
payroll. Yep.
Doesn't look like a whole lot of activity going on at the Weed Bureau.
Not a whole lot.
No.
It's pretty quiet.
So we like it.
Me too.
Of course, it is kind of a slow time of year for that.
Is it the Silver Dodge that's got the 186,000 on
Mm-hmm.
Move to accept the office reports as presented.
Motion by Dale to accept the monthly office reports as presented, second by John. Is there any further discussion?
Aye.
All in favor? Motion by aye, second, signifying by aye. Opposed, same side. Motion carries.
Like that.
Well, you didn't have a choice. So.
I knew I could have pulled a Mitt Romney.
And voted with God. Wayne,
Yeah,
what you got for us? A little something?
I don't know.
I read it already. Looks like this bill.
One little bill?
This bill's.
Oh, bill there looks like.
Is this a balance that was left from the seal coat project or what?
Yeah, it's the local share of one of our invoices.
One that's completed?
Um,
Or what?
It's a partial payment. We bill monthly. This is one of the monthly bills.
Isn't fully completed, doesn't it? We
No.
did do the final inspection last week.
Yeah, or
This week it was.
Monday. We'll do final.
Which one we talking about? This
Yeah,
$112?
page 24,
The
yeah.
112.25 is the 19.07% local share of our invoice number 4.
That was included in our bills? Was it?
What's that?
I don't think it was in, I didn't see it in the.
I don't recall seeing it.
Oh, the NDOT, okay.
Yeah.
You're talking about this one?
Yeah. Wasn't it? This is due KLJ?
It goes to DOT.
Or to
They already
DOT.
paid KLJ. This is the county reimbursing them for the 19% local share.
On which project?
Seal
On the
coat,
seal
right?
coat, Construction engineering.
Was that the Sutton one?
Sutton Road. And we're just about done with the final records on that, now that we've done the final inspection just this week with the district, then we can close that one out. We've gone through and checked the quantities and everything.
Well,
I don't think there was a voucher, was there, Sam?
I know, I don't think so.
this does close it out though. The 112 plus the previous billings equals
Equals the,
That's
Total.
the total of what we've billed so far. There'll probably be one or two more small invoices after this.
so the 3233 is the 19%, right? 19.07%?
Yeah, for estimates number 1.
Okay.
So what does Cadamus, Lee, and Jackson percentage-wise do for that seal coat?
So the 112.25 is how much you're paying back the state for the 19%. Because they paid the full invoice. So the total bill for that month would have been something like $500, I guess.
I'm losing it somewhere. Why is there? Is it monthly billing, as in you get paid every month?
From the state, and then they bill you guys for the local share.
But what happens if there's no work done during the preceding months?
We've been doing work on the records, putting the final records together. There hasn't been any work on the actual site, but we still have to package up the records, submit everything in the construction automated record system. That all happens after, or some of that happens after the contractor's done.
Seems kind of late for all this.
So is this work that's been done, or work that's gonna be done?
That's been done. So it's work that our office staff has been working on the records, getting ready for final closeout with the DOT.
Maybe I misunderstood how you guys bill. Don't you bill a percentage off the total cost of the project?
No. No, we bill on hourly rates.
Up to a guaranteed percentage. You gave us percentages when we talked with you about these projects, and it was within these percentages and wouldn't go over. And you assured us that you watched that real closely and it never went over. So how do we know now if it doesn't go over? If we're just billed by the hour?
We have it's a cost plus to maximum amount agreement with the state. So this went through the RFP process, so you guys could get federal aid to pay for the construction engineering. So the DOT reviews the invoices, approves them, and then bills the county for the local share. So that we negotiated up front how many hours it would take us to do the inspection on site, staking everything, and doing the final records closeout ahead of time.
Negotiated
With the DOT, and I copied Wayne on our hours summary, and then that, let's see who else signs that. I think the county signs that, agreement also.
So we're paying for something that the county commission never got to see beforehand or okay beforehand. We're just presented with the bill.
No, you guys had the contract for the state, so the DOT, we put up the hours together. The state looks at them, across, out of the Grand Forks district in this county, and sees if the hours are reasonable. We send them our full fee summary, local government reviews that, Wayne reviews it, they put it on their DOT contract format, so it's like a 14-page document that gets sent out to the county. You guys approved it back in, what is the date on that one? Contract date was June 24th of 19.
Right, so that's
So
what
you
I'm
guys
getting
approved
at.
it
How,
then.
Here's the contract, maximum is $24,621.77, is
Right.
that correct?
and where are we at now?
Previous billings were $16,365.76.
Yep, and we'll end up pretty close to that total, to that 24 by the time.
So there's more to come.
Right.
What's remaining after invoice $7,667.35.
Yep, and the local share of that would be 19% of that.
So how do we get to a point, Jamie, where we can have some competition in this thing? This is what, every damn time this is what goes on. And we keep trying to fix it and it never gets fixed.
We'll have to start on the competitive bidding process where we do the request for proposals and
this was done on this project, but nobody else submitted.
have others submit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we need to instruct Wayne to get this out to other people so that people have the opportunity to bid on it.
And this was advertised statewide.
And I think all the projects are they're required to be advertised.
Any of the federal aid ones you guys have done go on the state's advertisement, so that everybody had a chance to put in for it.
We've got a bridge project going on right now in Nelson County, and there were
Only two.
two engineering firms that were interviewed, and KLJ was awarded the project. I'll take a KLJ.
No, I'm not saying we won't be awarded the project, but we gotta have some
No, I know,
competition.
I understand.
And I mean, and they, you know, other firms, I guess, and we do the same when we try and focus our efforts where we think there's a chance that we'll get the work. So, I don't know. Yeah. And chip seals are usually, you know, just a few days on the road with a bunch of people, which is kinda hard to staff if you're not, you know, if you have other work. So it's not real super attractive to other engineering firms to go after in a county that they haven't worked for recently.
It'd probably be beneficial if you try not to explain to us why we shouldn't do this. It's not working. It's not working anyway.
Sorry, I didn't mean to imply that, I'm just saying.
It's why other firms don't.
I understand the process.
Yeah, we did, and Griggs County did try and solicit other firms statewide on this one as well.
We have to pay the state their
Yeah.
share. That's what this is.
Well, and the contract was signed between us and the county and the state. Well, back in
Got in
June.
trouble here a little while ago because we had missed some, hadn't been reimbursed for
Mhm.
part of the project.
Seems like a terribly lingering process that we're almost in the new season, we're still doing. But
Well, and part of it was that, you know, the final inspection didn't get done till this week. Cause, well, I guess we didn't do it back, it probably could have done it back in November, but then Dustin at the district was on vacation for a couple weeks and we wanted to get it done.
It's a lingering process with no chance of oversight before the decisions are made. The oversight comes at the end, and that's not the way the processes are supposed to work here. But it's been molded for years that way.
Well, the contracts were presented to the county with the hour summary and everything back in June. The total.
I'd move we pay our reimbursement share to North Dakota DOT in the amount of $112.25 on project SC 2003061 seal coat.
motion by Dale to pay the North Dakota DOT $112.25 on project SC 2003-061. Is there a second to the motion?
Well, here's my chance to make a difference, but I'll vote aye.
Seconded by John. Is there any further discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale? Sean votes aye. Motion carries.
Prairie dog funds might, their whale tax revenue is tracking about 4% ahead of the projections for a couple of articles that I guess I was looking at, and so their prairie dog funds might be here early 2021, maybe even at the end of this year, 2020.
In what amount?
I don't remember what the share was for, maybe it was like 800,000?
Yeah.
For 2 years.
Right, it's biennium.
Yep.
Yeah, it's right at about what the projected price was. Correct?
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
just-
they
it's just
projected 8. So
The
explain that to me.
The dollar
So
amount is set,
if the dollar amount is set, it's just how quick you get it.
right,
I got it.
Yep.
So once the bucket's full, you don't get another bucket.
right.
Don't get to run over.
Yeah.
Is it run over again?
No need for a saucer. All right.
Isn't it supposed to be perpetual or something?
So it's just a matter of timing when it's awarded then, basically, right?
How quick it gets full, you get the money. It could wait till the end of the second year, or it could be right away. And
Because the first bucket filled up faster than what
Of course, if we get it at the end of this year, it doesn't do us any good, didn't it?
so, how far downstream are we? What takes precedent? I not in the county wise, but how is it the states, and then what's the pecking order in this thing?
was it? I don't have that part.
Or do a bunch of the buckets fill simultaneously?
Can't remember if the
It's in
cities and the
order.
counties filled up, or the cities and the township filled up after the counties.
I think the state got one first, didn't they?
The states first.
But the counties must fill all at the same time, right?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
all the
Yeah.
counties are the same. Yeah, there's 115.
It's all based upon this survey that was done a few years ago, when we put in our
Yeah.
needs assessment,
Right.
what your road conditions were, how much blacktop you had and whatever.
So as our bucket is filling, is the city's bucket filling too? Or does it wait till ours overflows into, are the cities a higher, a lower tier than we are?
I can't
Then we
remember,
call
I
it-
just seen that.
The bill here, I don't remember for sure either.
Uh,
Too. I was more concerned about when the counties film versus.
Townships were gonna be like 9,000 apiece, I think,
Right.
right? A little
Yeah.
9,000.
So the cities get 115 million, the counties and townships, and 20 million to airports. And then, it's for the road and bridge infrastructure projects means the projects associated with the construction of new unpaved and paved road and bridge infrastructure or associated with the maintenance, repair, or replacement of existing unpaved and paved road and bridge infrastructure. So it's really, there's no pre-application like there was last time, there's no project
No,
approvals,
it's all
it's all,
names, yeah.
and it's real, and having it, being able to use for maintenance is good too.
Right. So are we done with that? I mean, I got a road question when you're all at the end, when we're done with it.
I'm sorry, yeah, no, I just wanted to let you guys know about it faster.
Okay.
And then, the Doll box culvert, I think you said, Jamie, you said you're having gentlemen for send out for follow up those. We're still working on the right away from box culvert. I think you guys took care of the structure inspections in the last meeting. Working on, still closing out Hannaford Road stuff, we checked quantities, those are good. And one small adjustment, we made contractor sign that already, so that we should be able to close that out here in the next month or so. I'm done with that. And then the Decker Bridge, you guys wanted to hold off until RADOC funds come in for that, right? Or are you gonna look at it again then, is that the thought?
I don't think it had any priority whatsoever. I think it was just sitting there until we.
Okay.
There's nothing to fund it with now anyway, so.
And there's probably, I think there's some things that should be in front of that, but that's what I wanna talk about as soon as we get to that point.
Okay. Yeah, that's, I think that's all I have.
So Wayne, the FEMA, you're kind of the conduit for some of these FEMA funds, county FEMA funds as far as a county road. I'm talking about the road, the west of Bedford, of course. It appears like come spring, that's probably gonna be underwater,
Okay,
don't you think?
I think so.
Yeah.
I was at a conference last week, and they talked about ER, that's a federal aid road.
Mm-hmm.
So federal aid roads don't qualify for FEMA, regular FEMA funds, but they qualify for emergency relief funds through state.
Okay.
And they've changed the criteria a little bit. Before, it had to be, water had to be over the road. Now they said if the water is up on the edge of the road.
Yeah, if it's in the edge line, past the edge line, if they're straightening.
Then take pictures of it and apply for it, because I think they've already approved some ER funding. Is this true? Am I lying?
I don't know if they had, doesn't it have to be 700,000 or?
Oh, yeah, yep, and it's gotta be the region, the
basin.
James, or the Devil Lake Basin, which we're in the Devil
We're in
Lake
May.
Basin.
So come spring with a big northeast wind, it will be over the road.
Yes,
There's no doubt about that.
so take pictures, then we'll report it, and we should be able to get funds there.
Okay.
That'd be great, but that's not federal aid, or
Right.
not FEMA funds.
I mean, there's no outlet to that basin there, and it appears like with all the moisture we've got in over this summer, and now it's gonna be over. There's still water coming out of the hills that are running into that thing.
Amazingly, yeah, there's water, was running last week.
Wow.
Over
Not
Christmas,
there, but
yeah, well, over Christmas, right out in front of our house in the lake there, all of a sudden, big open place of water right out in the lake, it just came running out of the hill.
Jeez.
You know, so there's water. running
There's a
out
lot of
there.
places like that this winter.
Yeah. So you'll be on that, cause
Yep.
that's a main road that needs to be
We
kept
gotta keep it
open.
open. I was gonna say that on, I got an email from Justin Messner, North Dakota DES, and on the February 19th, we have a Skype meeting,
Uh-huh.
2 to 5 p.m. And he's gonna be talking about, what you have to qualify, what's covered, what's not covered, and, then we'll know more about it.
And so the townships are through you too then? They bring it to you and you compile it and bring it to us and then we send it on, okay.
I have a software, not a software, but a program now that they
Mhm.
sent me.
Okay.
So when they bring in their sites, you bring in your sites,
Wouldn't contact anybody in our township.
have a number, you know, what, of course, right now, I don't think they're gonna do anything until the disaster comes again this spring. Because when we put in the information the last time, there wasn't, you know, one site was 150 feet long by so
Right.
many inches of gravel. It was done in a hurry to try to get it in there.
Right.
So then we gotta go back and make sure we get all the distances, all the sites, and then I'll put them in the computer and it gets sent to them. And then they'll calculate the costs and stuff to what it is, but.
Okay.
So we'll know more after, February 19th.
Okay. Do we have, so far from your inspections, do we have a lot of things that affect, I know we have a bunch out by Lake Jesse and Lake Gaddy out there that's,
See, when we did our repairs and all that stuff, it was after the time. Their window was so short, it was just for the snowfall, basically.
right?
That was out west. So I turned in my stuff for those that were all School Road and
Yeah,
Richard Walls, and they didn't qualify. And we raised it up that far. They said grade raises, we're not paying for grade raises.
hmm,
So whether they change, maybe they've changed the
Hmm.
rules, but at that time, well, Paul Mester was up here, he said, oh, we won't pay for grade raises.
how do you deal with rising water, lower the grade?
Said if you can go 30
Go around.
miles to get around, that's what you're gonna do.
That makes for
Yeah,
some.
but I said there used to be the 5 mile, there was a 5 mile rule if you.
That'll make for some bad tax there.
Yeah. So, we'll see more after this meeting next week. Or is it next week, it's next.
So what do they wanna pay for? Damage to infrastructure? No? No?
Mhm. They will pay for gravel. I don't know about, it's also said something about government buildings and stuff like that.
Not sure.
But you know, if it's in a city
Yeah.
where there's a flood, you know, but
Hmm.
I could read you all this stuff.
Well, you could read it, I probably wouldn't understand it, so that, no, it's not gonna do us any good.
This is, as you're aware, the state of North Dakota received a presidential disaster DR 4475 on January 21st due to damages caused by a historic fall flood. Well, that's different than the word they gave us. This disaster declaration opens up the public assistance program, which can provide up to 75% federal, 10% state, and then the rest is local.
Yeah.
Share for repairs to public infrastructure that was damaged by the declared disaster event for the following counties. That's Barnes, Eddie,
Yeah.
Foster, Grand Forks, Griggs, Kidder, Lamar, Logan, Mount Trail, Nelson, Sargent, Sheridan, Stutzman Trail, Walsh, and Wells County. Additionally, any of the government organizations, cities, private nonprofits within these counties are eligible for the DR 4475. So any city,
Yeah, I don't know how
Been through
roads
or
don't
I don't know
count,
if
I
there's
don't
any-
know how roads aren't infrastructure.
roads are. But I know in the past, they wouldn't pay, like, I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of frost spots, boil, because of all the heaving now in the spring.
It's
There's gonna
already
be soft
started.
spots.
There's
In
some
the
roads.
past, they wouldn't pay for that either. He said that's regular maintenance, your maintenance, you know, but
Well, not technically, I mean, if the water level's up high enough for it, that's what, and freezes, that's what causes the frost boils, where normally if you don't have that water there, you don't
There's so
have
much moisture in the roads and the ground and all that.
it. Okay, well,
So that's that, and I'll keep an eye
Keep
on
on
that
it,
road up
yeah.
there, and if anybody says anything that the water's up, well, I'll watch the what I can say. Somehow we gotta get it fixed, and hopefully that'll, it sounded like the regulations were a little bit looser with that,
okay.
ER funding,
I'm sure there'll be water on the road as soon as it thaws.
and each site had to be like 7,000, 5,000, 7,000, 5,000.
Five's the minimum to count it.
And that was that way before, but then we had some sites that were close enough, so they lumped it together.
And it's gonna be a pretty big number to fix that thing.
Yeah, it was, for the permanent repairs, it was close to $1 million
Close to a million.
to take it all the way out of the floodplain.
I mean, last summer the water was splashing over that long
It was.
distance there too, there's
Yeah.
cattails up there and stuff, so.
And then for the ER, the emergency stuff to get it open, just to get it open is 100% paid. And then it's the 80.93 after that
Mhm.
for the permanent repairs.
Yeah, you can do emergency repair and then you can do permanent
And for the doc,
afterwards.
And then the state is obligated on that also.
well,
Yeah,
if
the
there's
state
a
had,
declaration or whatever.
And then the prairie dog money can be our share.
Yeah, but you can't start a project with the prairie dog money until you get the money. Was the one hang up, and that's what Aaron Burst, I think. I don't know who was that. That was Brian. Shoot, I think that told us
But that should be a null point, because the prairie dog money is coming, it's gonna be here before spring, right?
Here
No,
is,
it'll be
let's see.
here probably the end, like December.
Oh,
Here were some questions and stuff that they had. Is the state treasurer's website the only place to get the latest projected distribution dates, or are there other resources to monitor the current bucket levels? And it says the OMB or BND would be the other sources back in North Dakota.
yeah.
They actually give that info to the treasurer. In regards to the distributions, does the state treasurer send the dollars to the county treasurer? Yes. The county does receive funds in the second quarter of 2021, April, May, or June. Can they bid a project whenever, fall of 2020 or winter of 2021, knowing that their funding will be coming eventually? Are there any bid requirements tied to this funding? The answer is there are no bid requirements tied to PD money. See comments below. Is there anything in the bill that prohibits a county from borrowing money to bid / construct the infrastructure project and then use the prairie dog funding to pay off the loan? Bill does not allow the use of PD money to pay off any loan or bond, no matter how it's set up.
Right, maybe it's what big letters common sense.
You gotta wait till your bucket's full, huh?
Build the bucket.
But-
Yes. Okay,
Yes.
well,
And I was at that meeting that day, and Aaron Burst was speaking, and he was walking all around in the crowd. So, is there anybody from Griggs County here? He said. And the people up front said, "Hey, Wayne's back there." So I said, "Yeah, I'm here." Yeah. He said, Griggs County State's Attorney asked a question if county commissioners or the county could hire contractors to do snow plowing or blading.
mhm.
And the answer is yes, he said. But he said, I don't think your job's in jeopardy, he said. And I said, well, I don't know about that. But so it is, there is your answer, it is legal, which we have hired people in the wintertime to push snow back and stuff.
Actually, we'll get to that. There's a letter from Jamie in here
Yeah.
concerning that, which was kind of interesting. That's why I want to talk to Jamie a little bit. Are we on that yet? No.
We can be quick here.
So really the only contract would be for the grading, the way it sounds, correct?
Yeah, the information I have been able to figure out, and with conversations with Aaron,
Mm-hmm.
summer work and maintenance appears that has to be bid, but snow removal, that sort of thing, there's no statutory process or requirement for bidding snow removal.
So
Because that's a more immediate need.
I suppose they deal with it.
Yeah.
And
Well, I mean, there's so many things to try to figure out before we can even ask for proposals on this, but it's a start, I guess.
Yeah, we talked about this, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks ago, whatever.
Mhm.
But it's interesting, the Association of Counties too, they've never had, I don't think anybody's done it. They're interested in seeing if there's any cost savings to the county in doing it.
Well, I mean, that would be on a case-by-case basis, depending on what contractors you had out there and what they're willing to
Right.
work for, but, I don't know if there is or not. That's
So we wanna find out.
what we want to find out. And even if we find out, it still has to get weighed against the having our own services. I mean, there is something to be said to have from having our own services on hand, but there's also some negatives to that. The retirement and the inability of the state to hold the PERS and the retirement in check. I mean, that just keeps growing and growing and growing, which becomes a huge liability that we don't have any control over. It would make it easier if that wasn't, if they didn't have the retirement set up like they do. I appreciate they do, but for new hires, that really puts a big liability onto the county. Well, I guess that answered our question, and now that's just. I don't have any more. Yeah, for the question. We'll have to talk about it and see what possibilities are.
anything else for Wayne? Thank you.
I thought you were gonna say that I'd done something that and got you in trouble and you'd take the heat for me. I'm gonna apologize to you.
No?
Okay. It's a pre-apology for when I do.
Use it at a time.
Aaron Burst is very sharp guy. He has a lot of good stuff. Talked a lot about bidding and different things, different levels of dollar amounts, what you had to do. It was over 100,000,
Yeah.
up to 100, 50 to 100.
There-
Projects, buildings.
He put on an ILG course, and I would suggest if any of you guys, I know you can get recordings of it, and it probably would cost some money to get the recordings, but it had to do with the bidding process. I recommend that both of our auditors, and well, you watch it, and Auditor in Nelson County, and I'm gonna go back and watch it. I was in trial this week, so I couldn't. But I recommend that you guys take a look at it too, because I think it would answer some questions and give some guidance, maybe help if people ask you questions. It was just on Monday that he did it. I think it had to do with the bidding process.
It was a free training too,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
I think so.
And yeah, you can get those recordings for free.
I mean, just from the Century Code, you can see there's a lot of things that you can do without bidding, and I just don't think that just because you can do it without bidding,
No, absolutely.
it's wise.
Absolutely.
I think err on the lower side and
Right, no, I agree. I mean, that's how you save money. You usually don't go to the first dealer that you're gonna go buy something from. I mean, you wanna make sure that people are competitive and that they sharpen their pencil, or else or else it's not gonna happen.
right.
But I agree with that, but it just helps outline the process and maybe give everybody a better understanding of what's going on and what can and can't be done. And I'm not saying, I agree with you too, that everything that is possible that should be bid. And it might make it a little more difficult. But I think that's the right thing to do, because you're supposed to be, you're fiscally responsible to the citizens of the county. But it doesn't hurt just to know what's going on. I think it's, like Wayne said, Aaron's an intelligent guy. Aaron's not, he's pretty darn conservative. So it's interesting listening to what he has to say.
And when it's done out in front, in a bid process and in front of the public, then it takes any subjective opinions out of our hands, where
Right.
they shouldn't be,
Right.
because what's good for the public is good for the public.
Right. And the bid process doesn't always mean that you take the lowest bid. That's not necessarily the thing that you do. You have to take the bid that's lowest bid and also the most responsible bid, and weigh those options. So it doesn't always mean that you have to take the lowest bid, but it can assure that you have competitive bids
Yeah.
with people that are with individuals that are the best stewards and able to do the project in the best interest of the county as well.
I will say one thing, having bid federal projects for the last 35 years and watched the federal government on a number of occasions try not to take the lowest bid, I recommend against that. Because there's no way to take subjectivity out of the thing, and as soon as you can't exactly put your finger on why you didn't take the low bid and be able to prove it and be able to put it into a matrix against the other bids,
Right,
you are done.
You have to be able to have some way to prove
Or
it.
in
My
litigation.
my specific instance, I think, would be, and I'll pick on the road department or road bids, comparing Knife River compared to another contractor that's relatively competitive with their prices.
Mm-hmm.
If you can specifically pinpoint trouble that you've had, and we've had situations in Nelson County where we can pinpoint specific trouble that we've had with that contractor. So I think, and of course that takes the subjectivity out of it, because like you said, you can pinpoint those exact problems.
That's usually done before they get a chance to bid. So in order to qualify to bid, you have to meet this minimum and this minimum and this minimum, and past performance can be a minimum. If you've had problems, they don't even get to the next step to
Right.
bid the project. And that's typically how they do in the bigger federal contracts on things like that. So if you've got 2 demerits or 3 demerits, you don't get to bid the project. But once you get to the point to try to, especially when you're talking labor bids, to try to pick one over the other and not use price as a main factor is pretty tough. There's a whole group of lawyers on K Street that'll come to your defense if that happens to you.
I do have one more thing.
Okay.
The bridge
The bridge.
inspections and all that. They
You want
advertise
a
for
harness so you can hang
RFPs.
underneath them? No.
On a drone.
Sit on it. Go.
But anyway, they had RFPs out for, I think they divided the state into 4 different sections. Doing inspections, and this week we got I think Sam would have got the letter too with that Code 3 bridge
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
But they should take care of that, wouldn't they? With their inspections, or is that?
I asked Brian that, I think, during the presentation, and he seemed to think that it would be underneath that, but I don't know.
It's like a July 15th or something, we have to have it in.
Right, so I don't know if that, with that deadline, if that would be feasible, depends on who gets
I was gonna talk to him again,
who
but I
gets this
didn't
region
call this week.
and what priority to put on. It's possible that it could get done, it just, they interviewed for that this week, and I don't know, but there were 9 firms put in for that work, and they have 4 regions, and they were gonna plan on picking one for each region, so. I don't, that, they haven't made selections yet, so they know.
Okay,
Of course, who's doing what, and
that's it.
For sure this thing? All right.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Sit here long enough, we'll talk about something else, but bring up another question. Thanks, Wade.
Yeah.
As long as we got Jamie here, should we have him touch on the farm exemptions and stuff?
Funny you should talk about that, because I was in Bruce Ellison's office at noon today and he had a farmer come in that was super upset.
Can I make a motion, we take just a 2-minute break, 3-minute break?
Second.
Motion made and seconded to take a break. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Back to order. Farm exemptions.
Oh, yeah. So the information I've gotten is that, there's a worksheet. I saw it. I don't understand why they have to have all that information that's on the worksheet. I would think that all you really need is the gross income minus the Schedule F, and that's how you can figure out what the percentage is, but, there's a big worksheet with a lot of requirements, and it doesn't make sense to me, but whatever, as far as that goes. But, the information I've gotten is that, it sounds like the tax director's office is supposed to retain those worksheets for 2 years. And they're supposed to shred the tax returns as soon as they're done using them.
What good does it do to shred the tax returns if you retain the information on the tax return?
I suppose it doesn't
You
have
got two big figures there, the gross income and the Schedule F. Right?
Yeah, that's all you should need.
Well, I mean, that's on the worksheet too, right?
Yeah, that's on the worksheet.
It should be, you look, well, what Troy wanted to do, what we voted on, was you look at it, confirm that they qualified, and hand it back to them.
I'll see if that's workable. I wouldn't see, I mean, it's verified.
Right.
I mean, if someone verifies it, I don't see why it wouldn't be.
No. And then
There's no liability to the county for having.
We can have a sheet of paper and it says
verified
personally
by.
verified that so and so qualifies for the exemption, and date it, and
That's
have him sign it, and whoever sign it, and put it in the file, and it's done. And if there's ever a question where we have where there would be a question on it, and there's legal proceedings that would come about because of it, then they can bring it in and show and prove it. But
Is it every other year you have to
every other year.
qualify, right?
Yeah.
But to think that somehow, and this isn't anything, this is just the nature of it, that somehow we would be able to safeguard that information is nuts.
Or would you want to try?
Why would you want to try?
Oh, you don't need it.
You don't need it.
I'll do some
form
checking and
has
see if we can do that.
It has your unearned income and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, it just, that's nuts. And so why does the state have any say in this anyway if they're not reimbursing us? This is coming right out, this is the tax revenue from Griggs County, correct? We're the ones that are, the Griggs County residents
Yeah,
are,
that exemption is Griggs County resident.
don't have to ask the state for something they don't have any say in, do we? I mean, I can see the other way if we were making them stand there and photographing them with their tax paperwork and keeping that, but when we're not asking for nothing and just taking them at their word, I don't understand it.
Yeah, I'll do some checking. I'll let you
Yeah.
guys know. I mean, that makes sense to me. If as long as someone sees that document and they don't hold on to it, I don't see why it would be a problem. I mean, in person.
I don't think anybody should have to
Verified it.
see it. I think we should take their word for it, just like we've always done.
Well, and actually, kind of the dumb thing about this is that it's going to expand this program. I mean, it's going to expand the exemption because it's instead of the $40,000 threshold, it's now 66% of your income. So it's actually going to expand the exemption.
I was always under the assumption that the state was reimbursing Griggs County for those exemptions. If they're not, what does the state have any say over it? Why can't we as elected officials decide for the citizens? If the citizens don't like what we're doing, they get rid of us. It's Griggs County tax money.
The only thing we're reimbursed for is the homestead credit, right?
Right.
That's
Yeah.
the only
Yeah.
Why can't-
reimbursement.
Yeah, no, those houses are taking all the taxable value of the county. They're not.
Right. So why couldn't the county commission make an exemption?
I'll do some more checking on it for you guys.
That'll be one Wayne can apologize for me for.
What's that?
It's 66% of the gross.
Yeah, I think it's 66% of the gross. So,
Sure.
I mean, it's off. It's really going to expand it. Pretty much anybody that works in town, as long as they farm,
Yeah.
A little bit. It's gonna be a huge change.
Well, not really though, because it's gross, correct?
Yeah, it's gross. But before it was $40,000. So if you had a farmed and lived on a farm and held a job,
Before it was $40,000 of net income. It was easier to avoid it before.
no, it was net off farm income.
Huh?
It was over $40,000 of net off farm income.
Right. Yeah.
So now it has to exceed 33% of your gross income. So it's going to expand it.
Your farming income has to be 66% of your gross income.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So
Right.
it should expand it.
Yeah, I guess it probably should. Unless if you're working for a wage, it should. If there's a company involved on your other job, then it probably won't. Where you're supplying product, then,
Right,
then,
right.
then it has the opposite effect.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, see what you can find out on that. That would
Yeah, I'll keep on looking.
sure simplify things.
But I mean, we have a policy in place
Right.
already.
Right now, yeah.
You know.
But I know that's what a lot of the citizens were very upset about that, why do you need my
Copy of it.
information and stuff like that? Who's seeing it? Like,
Right. And has anybody come in since we have a new policy in place?
not that I know of. A lot of the times they talk to Connie, so.
Okay, would call it Connie's carrying that out, right? She's looking at it and say, yep, verified, and hand it back to
Yeah.
I just picked up the application.
her. Okay.
I actually was kind of afraid of getting my butt kicked by the guy that I talked to earlier today, and that specific individual up in Nelson County, he said, I'm just gonna give up my exemption then. He said, I'm
That's
not gonna see
the
it.
4 people that I've talked to, and they weren't happy they were gonna do that. They said, as rightly so, I don't believe that the county has any right to look at that. I don't believe that if they have the right to look at it, they can keep it quiet. And he said, they all said, I'm not doing it. This is nonsense. They went back and if you go back and look at the reason for the farm residence exemption in the first place, it was because the farmers were paying and still are paying the majority of the property taxes
taxes.
within
Counties.
the county, and that was a way to give a little bit back to them for all the money they're paying, and now we're treating it just the opposite of that. If you make it hard enough for them, they're proud people. They're not going to do that. I mean, go ask somebody for their tax returns. Anybody, what are they going to say? whether and it has nothing to do whether or not they're being honest and paying their taxes. That's just something that's private. Go ask somebody for their medical records. We guard those.
Mm-hmm.
And then the arrogance of the state to say that we have the right to look at someone's tax returns is really aggravating. So I think we've done the right thing with the policy we have in place. I guess the state can come and tell us that we did something wrong with it.
You want to keep talking about the tax directors?
We could, as long as we're on taxes, I suppose. So, see, is this the calendar we had before?
I do believe so. This is what Connie found for us.
Yeah, that is 144.
So we're in February,
The one thing that Connie did stress to me is that she would like to see you guys trying to get somebody to do your sales ratio study, because she's not willing to do that.
Yep.
So,
When's that due? As long as we got the state's attorney here, I'll ask the question. No.
Looked like it was due in January. Review sales ratio,
Yep.
BX form spreadsheet, sales ratio adjustment worksheet.
I think when I looked it up, we submitted it in June, the last few years. Let me go on. Ah, shoot, I don't know.
Can we just submit the same one again?
We did for many years. What would home rule do for us, Jamie, in a lot of these instances? I mean, it's so vague. I tried to understand exactly what the purpose of home rule is, and I understand what the original purpose was, but the state has overlapped so many things with century code to try to cancel out the effect of home rule that I don't know where it stands now.
You know, it's a good question. I think it was the Grand Forks County State's Attorney I was asking some questions on that too, and I haven't had a chance to do any research on it. She just asked me that last week or the week before. And, I was actually planning on doing some research on it this coming week, so I probably could have some answers for you guys for the next meeting.
The biggest question I had is what if we are home rule? What does that subject? What are we still obligated to have a tax director? Or what is the advantage of home rule?
Okay, I'll do some checking and I'll try to be able to explain it to you guys and give you guys some advantages, I guess, and disadvantage of it.
I know the original concept of it is moved way back from North Dakota, not even North Dakota law, but it was to instill the same rights basically on the counties or the cities that the Constitution of the United States gives to the state, that of first choice, and the state government only takes precedent in matters that the state government only should have precedent in, state roads and that kind of thing.
Right.
Whereas so that the state government can't stick their fingers in and be telling counties what to do, sometimes against their wishes and sometimes not beneficial to their financial needs.
Okay, well, I'm taking notes, so
Yeah.
I'll take a look at. I'll give you guys some idea for home rule and give you guys some ideas for that tax or for the farm home exemption for next meeting.
Is Nelson County home rule?
Steele County is,
Yes.
I think.
And I think the city of Cooperstown is also,
Think so.
aren't they? But I don't think anybody really understood or takes advantage of what that can do, or maybe you can't do anything.
I think there are a couple home rule counties in the state. I don't know which ones there are.
But they're all west,
I think they are, to be honest with you.
southwest.
Yeah, I think it's in the western half of the state. I think they're all north.
It seems to be the most conservative counties out there in the Badlands areas. Okay. So we gotta work on sales ratio index.
It
Actually,
says that we
Richland,
still need
Steele,
a,
Warcast, Stutzman, and Walsh counties are all home rule counties.
Steel, you said?
Yep.
Yeah.
it says we need to file a return for March 2019. But June, we filed multiple returns. So it must be March and June we do something.
When's it due?
I think there's one in March and then one in June.
John, there's on the Association of Counties website actually, there, and it's not actually anything written by the Association of
Okay.
Counties. It's a dissertation from a guy from California, that was written in 2015. That they gave a link to. It's a 22-page dissertation about the advantages and disadvantages of home rule.
Okay.
So it's time to advertise equalization meetings already in February? Wow, seems early.
We're supposed to have a township association or township officers meeting or whatever next month, but we don't have an extension agent, so we have nobody to set that up. And I think that's when I was supposed to get that information about their
When the townships wanted to have their,
meetings. Yeah.
I mean, there's still a township association. I mean, the only thing that the extension agent does is they're the secretary for the township association meeting. So it's, I mean,
they didn't really do anything for the conducting of the meeting or anything, did
no, because there's a township association
Just
president or chair
Right.
or something. So it's, I mean, other than contacting the townships and being the secretary, that's really what the extension agent and setting up speakers or whatever, if there were speakers that came in. So, I mean, that thing is, I think it's required by statute, actually. It is required by statute to have an annual meeting, so it still has to be done.
I haven't heard of when it is or if it's going on. Connie had asked me if.
Well, I'm guessing, I mean, wasn't Tom Dahl the chairman?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, yes.
So, I mean, maybe if Tom hasn't set anything up, maybe, you know, someone needs to, because I think it is required by statute that there is an annual meeting.
But that's not us.
Yeah.
That's not the county commission's job.
No, but maybe, I guess someone probably should call him and say, hey, we don't have an extension agent, you guys are gonna have to set your stuff up. And since there's not an extension agent, you guys are gonna need to find a secretary to take care of it.
You maybe wanna drop a bug in Tom's ear.
Yep.
Just remind him, you can go from there, I guess. Unless they all wanna get a talking to from the state.
So, how, how many county agents, I mean, we've still got a request in for a part-time county agent, correct?
Right.
Oh, speaking of that, Nelson County.
I wanna tell him.
Oh, you talked to them?
Kim
went on-
she left me a message today. We got extension stuff coming up anyway.
I almost took his story.
I got the hammer today, man.
Only words would be Samantha's cookie.
Wait, there's more.
Starting to look good.
Okay, what are we on now?
Anything else on the tax director, or move on?
Yeah,
What do we got now?
we missed one.
New hospital.
I move we table that until we have a quorum.
We have a motion to table the
Not a quorum, until we have a
full commission.
Yeah.
We have a motion to table the new hospital letter. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. I'd kind of like to look at that a little better anyway, too. Center for Rural Affairs. What's that?
It's just some information that I received in the mail. So just thought I would.
FYI is all?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't-
all about wind tower regulations.
Yeah, I don't think you guys need to do anything. It was just some information for you.
Okay, NDSU extension. And you can see there's a
Oh, you got it.
email I got from Kim there with kind of the updates of everything that's been going on in the absence of a extension agent. And then this afternoon I got a voicemail from her and I checked it, and apparently Nelson County had their commission meeting yesterday and they've decided to have their own county agent now. So the shared one is off the table. Is that what you're gonna say, Jamie?
Yep, you stole my thunder. Yeah, and I wasn't at the meeting yesterday. We were waiting for.
I guess I was kind of surprised, but
I was too. I was in the courthouse, but I was not able to attend the meeting, and I got down there and after it was over, and I guess the commission room is packed.
yeah, that was the other thing she'd mentioned. They must have had to let everybody speak their piece in the county, and
Yeah.
apparently they felt they wanted a
It was standing room only in there, so it sounded like it was a big deal.
full-time extension, so. And they will be coming to our meeting on March 6th. So they're kind of doing some surveying around the county and stuff too with 4-H and stuff. Kind of what I gotten from her the last time I talked to her too was she's thinking maybe it's too late to get a extension agent. This was even before she talked to Nelson County. They might have to just try to find somebody to run the 4-H part of it this year.
But I think they might be having problems filling the positions when there's 22 of them open.
I would think.
They said there's fewer open now. What I was told was that they have filled some positions. But that's what it was. Originally was like 22 or 23 of them or something. But the extension agent that left Nelson County actually left. They went to Grand Forks County because she was sick of a few 4-H parents. That's actually why she left. She was a good extension
Here?
agent.
Or
No,
there?
the one up there. She was actually good. But she left because of 4-H parents that she couldn't ever satisfy. But she had told me that there were positions that since that those 22 or 23 were open, they've filled quite a few of those.
Trail counties came open on January 1st, so.
Well, like Ramsey County, this Bill Hood is he was not going to stick around there forever, I don't think.
So I guess we'll wait and see what she has to say on the 6th. She did contact that Kelsey that ran it last year. She wasn't interested in doing just the fair part, so. I think there were some issues here too that they had to kind of clean up. So.
Well, I mean, it's just too bad that NDSU won't allow us to hire someone locally to do it. I mean,
There's past leaders and stuff that would probably do just fine at running a fair.
I mean, it's obvious they're trying to use the counties and the citizens in the power struggle they're having with the state for funding, and they're trying to justify, well, we need this and this and this and this, and try to pressure the state, and it's not working
To
too
make
well.
it a full,
Yeah. There's no reason why they have to ask the counties whether or not they want to merge. What you do is you say, okay, we don't have the funds to have this many agents here. This county, this county, this county, and this county are now together.
You're this size, we're gonna make this one.
And they might get to that position where that has to happen, except like the state did with social services.
Right.
But that was a direct connection, state, social services. Now you have the state, NDSU in between it, and then extension as a branch of that.
Right.
It's
The triangle then.
yeah. But eventually they're going to delay and into themselves into irrelevance pretty soon if you don't have a county agent, sometimes they figure out there's no need for a county
Yeah,
agent.
if you go 2-3 years and
Right.
and you still have openings and
I think it's a bad tactic, but it's their tactic, and they'll have to do what they
Right.
want.
anything else on extension? Old courthouse, new courthouse.
I don't have anything more.
I would think maybe within the next few months, NDSU might be
The last
warm
I
enough to start.
heard from her was
Maybe March, April.
I was thinking, for some reason, I was thinking about the snow on this roof and how many shingles are up there and how much it's gonna cost to reshingle it. Can we start a fund to cover that? That would be a major expense if
This one or the old one?
this one, you know, if you had to throw shingles on this, just because they're wore out, because they don't last like they used to.
Mm-mm.
No, this would be $100,000 job or $150,000 job.
Yeah,
sure.
is there some way to not take that light at the time of it
Well, we have a
happening?
building fund, I suppose. Can that be used?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what the building fund would be for.
Well,
And that's the purpose of a building fund, is to not spend it down every year, but continue to put that same amount of money in so you can.
that's kind of been the past problem, and everything on the old one, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
it got so
that's the
far
purpose
gone
of it, is to
and,
build it up and with the plan. I know you're not supposed to hold a pile of money in reserve, but that's a situation where that money should be held in reserve to,
Lessen the blow. when
yeah, to
it
help with
comes,
any
yeah.
repairs, or if something big and catastrophic happens to,
beyond insurance.
yeah, to be able to fix it without having to come up with $400,000 or something at one time.
It probably should be a standing seam roof. I don't.
It shouldn't have been shingles, they're all blown off, a lot of them are blown off already, you know.
Yeah.
Shit, they were coming off 6 months after they were put on.
That's exactly why you would do that, and that's why a building fund should be there, and not just spend it down every year, but continue putting that money in just to avoid one of those situations. And that's what happened at the other courthouse. They never had any money to fix it because they didn't put any money in the fund.
Oh, and then when there was trouble, it was so damn expensive to do
Yeah.
it.
So I thought that's what was going on, and I would advise to do that.
Probably something for, discuss it when we start
Budget time.
budget. That starts before too long already.
It does.
Anything else?
The-
Courthouse, new courthouse?
The last communication I had with Angela at NDSU was on January 16th, and I told her that the building was not heated and asked if she would be willing to come to a meeting to kind of get everything situated, and she didn't reply back, so.
Well, at least we haven't tried to get off a 7 yet.
What?
Maybe they could ride together.
At least we haven't tied up us not having a county agent. That's the next step. By the way.
Future business. Anything?
Well,
How about, do we need to think about the audit? Getting the Herald on
oh, good, yeah.
track here pretty soon. Or sooner the better, I think.
Yeah, no, if we tell him now, he'll be right on it by May.
That's what I'm kind of leading, I guess.
Yeah. Could you tell him we need an audit?
Mhm.
And we'd like it done by me.
Standard audit.
I know. Any other future business?
Motion to adjourn.
Dale made a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
There's another place where it could have an effect.
Second by John. All in favor? Aye.
We're stuck.
Meeting adjourned. Yeah.
4 o'clock.
4.
Next meeting,
Next meeting is when? February 23rd?
21st.
21st at 2:30.